want to get this off my chest because it's something that needs to be said and explained in a very simple manner for soccer coaches, athletes, soccer athletes, parents, and even strength coaches if they really want to get a better understanding. So, talking about energy systems today. And I often get asked, like, to train, to do fitness all the time, right? Which is fine, and I get it, but you got to understand that you can't always do fitness, especially if you're having intense practice right before you do fitness. In my personal experience and from all the education and learning and practical experience that I've been through, I personally don't think that doing some type of aerobic work is necessary all the time. Because aerobic, or in a more scientific way of saying this, our oxidative system where oxygen is needed, you should be working on that during practice. Because those are energy systems or soccer fitness that is a low intensity. You don't need extra fitness if you're already doing it, right? So your practice, like, are you doing game situation where it is not stop and go, explaining all the time, like, hey, we gotta fix this, gotta fix that, versus are we letting the game play, setting up whatever constraints in the session and letting it happen and getting our fitness that way? Because personally, if you want to focus on the energy system of aerobic, capacity, any type of oxidative, any type of training where oxygen is needed, and longer than a minute 30 plus, then you're working on building your aerobic capacity, aerobic fitness, whatever you want to call it. Okay? You don't need to go and have session and let's do a 2-mile run or whatever at the end of practice. Okay? It's unnecessary. Because in the 2 miles is, a kid might do it in maybe 12 to 15 minutes. Why don't you have a session where you're focusing on something game related in that time frame, where they're not just running? Because in soccer, if you guys watch the game and not just watch the highlights, the game is stop, go, okay? It's not, I'm running 2 miles around the field the whole time. Yes, you have to have some aerobic capacity because that will help you recover quick on the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is basically ATP, like the first energy system that we hit right when we do like a sprint, or the first like 10 to 12 seconds of any type of like quick movement, okay? Having a good aerobic capacity will help you quickly recover so you can hit those sprints again. But in order to be able to do repeated sprints, you got to train repeated sprints. So this is basically the last energy system. I'll just say energy system of number 3. Okay, then there's, I'll just say number 1 is here, number 2 is here. So ATP ATP-PC. And then you have glycolytic. Glycolytic, sorry. Okay, so this is 10 to 12 seconds of hard work. Okay, this is like 30, once this is over, this takes over. This is like 30 to 90 seconds, and then this takes over after that after a minute, 30 or 90 seconds, okay? This is quick, fast movements, sprints, like 1 rep max of a strength training. This is like, you know, doing some shuttle runs, okay? And then this is like, okay, we're gonna run like a 2 mile, just to kind of give you a background. So in soccer, you rarely just run for 12 minutes straight, okay? There's no time in a game where you are running consistently for 12 minutes, okay? Majority of the time in soccer, you are living in this energy systems. This is just helping you recover to get to those at the necessary point in time in the game, okay? Typically you want to build this the first couple weeks or preseason or off season for like a couple weeks. Then you can phase in these two over the time. You can bring this back every once in a while, but you want to live here, okay? But again, you know, you don't have to do fitness all the time. Your fitness should be in practice. If you are building a session properly, as many of you may know how to do, look, I'm no A licensed coach, but I understand this, okay? And if I can understand this, then I can put that into my session. The only time that it may be necessary is if a kid may be coming back from some type of injury, maybe. If some kids didn't play over the weekend and they need to do some type of extra fitness, okay? I wouldn't do any 2 mile runs. I'd probably do some sprints. One, because it's gonna help them get their high intensity runs, which are majority of soccer games, okay? You're not running at a 2 mile pace during a game. You're sprinting a majority of the time, okay? If you go look at the data for a soccer game, for any level, really, you're gonna see that majority of the time it's high intensity sprint. So living in the 10 to living in the ATP, this energy system, and then this energy system, okay? The only time that you're living here is when you're walking around on the field, okay? You might be, you know, play might be on the other side of the field, you might be shifting over and whatever. That's fine. You're recovering, you're getting ready for these sprints, okay? I think, what I'm trying to get at is I think a lot of coaches live here because they feel like their players aren't fit. The reason they're not fit is because you don't do enough sprinting, okay? You don't do enough sprinting, high intensity sprints. These sprints, maybe some 20-yard sprints. This could be like 20s, 30s, 40s. Once you get into like beyond that, I mean, technically you could do 50s, but once you get on beyond that, I mean, you realistically could do, you know, hundreds if they go in at a 15-second pace, okay? So that's where, this is what that is. You know, you sprint as hard as you can for 20 yards, walk back, rest. You might be able to do, you know, let's say like 4 or 5 sprints in a practice at the end of practice maybe, okay? Then here, this could be some shuttles, okay? You know, everybody in soccer loves 300s for some odd reason, but you never run a 300 in a soccer game. So I would live in maybe 50-yard shuttle, so 25 and back. Let's do 60s, 70s, okay, like short, down, back, maybe 2 times, 3 times, whatever, okay? So what I wanted to first obviously educate people. So I'm going to summarize what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we got 3 energy systems that our body uses to play sport, get energy to do whatever we need to do in the sport, everyday life, okay? So this is the first one. It's going to hit right when you take a sprint. Second one, if it's longer than 30 seconds, it's going to hit this, and you're going to live in here. You're going to get, you're still going to have power for about 30 seconds, and then it's going to be slow power for about the rest of the time. Once you get beyond 90 seconds, which in a soccer game rarely happens that you're running for more than 90 seconds, you're going to hit this oxygen aerobic capacity, okay? That's when it's basically unlimited energy because you're breathing in oxygen, which is unlimited when you're running, okay? We are not in soccer, we are not runners, okay? We're not endurance runners, okay? We build endurance, okay, to allow us to live here, okay? If you go and watch, soccer sessions that are run by college strength coaches, I know the strength coach at University of Maryland, which has won however many national championships, okay? This is a little bit in the beginning of the preseason, but they live here, okay? We're not living here. We build this so we can do a lot of sprinting and high intensity running, okay? Because if you see in the Premier League the increase over time, the amount of high intensity running has incrementally increased over time, substantially, okay? It's a high paced game, okay? If the game was slow, it wouldn't be fun, okay? It would be boring. You wouldn't really pay attention to it. But living in here is where we need to live. This is a little bit of this, but we need to live in the sprinting. This not only helps with, building speed, but it also helps with building strong legs, also helps with hamstring pulls, because most hamstring pulls, if you read the research, come from high intensity sprints. And the reason that they have hamstring pulls is because they're not doing enough of this, because they're living here in low intensity running. Okay? Low intensity running, so you're not recruiting the right muscle so that you can do these. Okay? So it's very important. Yes, we build our aerobic capacity, our aerobic system, energy system, okay? Build this in the beginning of the preseason, off-season, whenever, okay? We don't need to be doing 2-mile runs. A simple solution for this is, let's do, I got this from a well-known track coach out of Canada. Can't remember his name, but Charlie Francis, okay? He does 100s, 200s, 300s, but on a soccer field where it's a low intensity day. You just go back, do 100, rest, and then you're going back, okay? In a soccer field, you're going 120, but literally you do 100s, there's so many different schemes that you can create on a low intensity day for this. For instance, let's say you're doing, he does one where it's like a pyramid. So say we're just doing 100s, for example. So we'll go 8, 9, 10, 9, 8, or whatever. Let's just live there. So we'll do a set of 8. So down is 1, all the way to 8, rest, Okay, then you do 9, rest. Then you do 10, rest. And then you're done. And at the end of this, whatever 800, like, you don't need to up it. I'm just giving an example. You don't need to start off here, right? So what I'm saying is, in this, it's like 65 to 70%. Okay? So it's not even a sprint because we're building aerobic capacity, building up the ability to recover quick in order to hit these, okay? So, you don't need to be doing 2-mile runs. To be honest with you, it's a waste of time, okay? You know, some kids are built for some kids are built for long distance running. Some kids are built for short, fast, like short sprints, okay? When I was growing up in high school, like we had a test, it was like two and one. I mean, you're gonna have kids that are gonna crush this. Then you're gonna have kids that are really fast that might not crush this. Why? Because the way that they're physiologically built, they might be really fast and live in this space, but when they come down to fitness, running a 2-mile run, like to me, 2-mile run is a waste of time for a soccer. If you're gonna do aerobic work, do this, do the beep test. If you want to test for endurance, because honestly, if you can do the beep test well, you're building endurance, because it's pretty much like a test where over time you got to be able to repeat sprints, which is here, and the whole thing is longer than 1:30, so it's a really good test to see your aerobic, like all the energy systems working together. I mean, I'm not going to say to do it often. I would say maybe do it once or twice a year. I mean, there's so many tests, there's so many ways to test for endurance in soccer, and we still have coaches, and I'm going to say this, I don't really care, that still love the 2-mile test. To be honest with you, it tells me nothing. Because I can have a soccer player that can be so fast, who might not even do well on this, and crush goals in left and right, and be productive on the field, and be a team player, and do all this stuff. But you're gonna have soccer coaches that say, oh, we're gonna do a 2-mile run, you need to get it in whatever time, and if you don't get it in whatever time, you're not gonna be fit enough to play, so you're gonna sit on the bench. Okay, cool. But if I got a kid that's really fast and scores goals and is fit, in my perspective, to play soccer, like these two here, I'm gonna play him. So I don't care, because this doesn't tell me anything, okay? Honestly, 0. This 2-mile run, nothing. You can ask any MLS high-performance coach, do they do a 2-mile run? I promise you they don't. Okay, you can ask a decent amount of college coaches, college strength coaches, if they do this, I guarantee you most don't. So why, in club soccer, in high school soccer, it's either a 2-mile run or a 1.5 miles. Okay, it doesn't do anything. Okay, you can do one test, beep test, call it a day. From there you can see, okay, what do we need to work on? Okay, because you're gonna have kids that are gonna kill the beep test, you're gonna have kids that might not do. Okay, well, he needs to work on maybe some more shuttle, maybe some building up this, but we're gonna do it this way. We're not gonna do it running a mile run where he's gonna get fatigued, and it's not gonna be like the game where it's like go at a decent intensity, build up your aerobic capacity, and then we're gonna be able to do more of this. Okay? Plus, honestly, 2-mile run, like, especially with soccer players, like, you don't do it often like a runner. So, like, just throwing a kid out there and saying, all right, we're gonna do 2-mile run, he can get injured. He could, if he hasn't been doing, maybe he's been playing a lot of soccer, which he should be doing, and he's not doing any like aerobic work like this, long distance work, goes out and does a 2-mile run and pulls something, then what are you gonna do? You're gonna blame it on him not being fit? No, I'm not gonna blame it on him not being fit. I'm gonna blame it on him not being ready to run a 2-mile where you're telling him he's gotta get it under 12 minutes. Then that kid is out for however long, has to go to rehab and start all over again. Okay? I could go on and on about this. It's an issue in soccer because the explanation of fitness in this country will never change. Okay? You need to understand the energy systems or the soccer fitness in order to plan your sessions properly. Like, for instance, you shouldn't be running, especially if you have a game over the weekend, you shouldn't be doing any fitness 2 days out, +2 days out from a game. If you're gonna do any fitness, you should be doing this so you can prepare the hamstring, prepare the legs for the game over the weekend. Okay? Because this is just gonna cause more fatigue on the central nervous system because you're it's long duration running, and it's not necessary. You just came off a 90-minute game. The only kids, like I said in the beginning, that should be doing some fitness, the kids that might have not played, more than 45 minutes of the game. Okay? We need to change the mindset if we're gonna change the soccer in this country. Okay? I'm not saying that you don't need to do soccer training. Your soccer training should have incorporated this already. If they're touching the ball, like low intensity, for examples of soccer low intensity work, ball work, you're working on this. If they're doing, cone drills or whatever, like dribbling work, you can make the per round or whatever lasts more than 1:30. So over time, they're going to build up that capacity for ball work. Okay, you can do passing drills where they're running and it's going to be more than 1:30. Passing drills. Your actual practice where it's 3v3, 4v4, 8v8. If all those things, if they're running hard and playing at a high intensity level, they're going to hit all of this in one session. But you have to demand it from your players to play at a high intensity level. Okay? You can't just say, hey, we're going to do 3v3, and people are walking around. If you demand it, then they'll give it to you. You're going to get your fitness there. If you do an 8v8 with goalies, so it's 7 players on the field, a decent sized field, maybe 30 wide, 40 or 50 long, and you don't stop and go all the time, you're going to get all of this. Long sprints, short sprints. Maybe somebody's going to be doing a recovery run where it's maybe over 30 seconds or whatever. Okay? That's where you need to hit this stuff. It doesn't need to be extra. The only time it needs to be extra is at the beginning of preseason or off-season, where they might be doing less ball work, and they can do this because it's not going to be more taxing on their body. So they're fatigued, and by the time they show up to preseason, their legs are dead, heavy, whatever. Okay? So to kind of sum it up, we need to live here, maybe in the preseason or off-season. Then we need to transition. We can go back here every once in a while, but we need to transition to this. Sprinting, shuttles, incorporate ball work. Then this will already be in the training if you incorporate the right drills. And you ask them for energy. Give them the energy so they can display it on the field for you. If you don't put that energy out there, you come into the session with no energy, they're going to give you nothing. But if you come in there and like, all right, we're going to kill it this practice, this is the training session today, boom, 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 then they're gonna be able to hit all of this in the session. You don't need to do extra. Okay? So, I'm gonna put more of an explanation of all the stuff in the comments below. If you have any questions, I got email, ways to contact me. If things didn't make sense, I'm here to help you. I want you to understand this so that we can change the thought process in this country about soccer fitness. We got to get away from doing extra and just focus on getting players better at soccer. Okay, soccer, that's what we are here for. We're not here for, road runners. Okay? We want to be fast, sprints, like recovery runs here, fast, sprint to the ball, open to space, getting into space, because this is where you live. If you want to be fast, you got to live here. Do sprints all the time. You got to sprint more often. This is going to help, like I said before, hamstring from getting pulled. Other lower body injuries. This is going to help. Okay, so again, like I said, I'm not trying to talk shit. I'm not trying to, put people down. But I just want to explain. Okay, I've seen too many injuries from too many stupid sessions. Okay, I've seen ACL injuries because soccer coaches want to do fitness the day before a game. Like, what are you thinking? They're going to recover in 24 hours? No, especially if you run like high intensity running. If you run high intensity running in 24 hours, you have a game. What's the difference between that a game that's high intensity, and then the next day you have another game? Why do you think so many injuries happen when they have tournaments where there's back-to-back games in the same day? Because they're not recovered. That's why having a tournament in 3 days, to me, now that I look back on it, was the dumbest thing we could have done. Yeah, it's a moneymaker, it's this and that, I get it. But if we want to make people better, 1 game a day, each day. Okay, allow them to recover. Having multiple games in 1 day is the worst thing you can do. Okay, even for every sport. I don't care. You all can talk trash to me, but I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, that's another reason why kids burn out. Kids don't want to play anymore after the age of 12 or 13. So, anyways, hope this makes sense. Hope this helps. Let's fix it. Let's get better, because I know we can get better. It's just we got to have people understand it and then implement it. Don't just look back and say, "Oh, this worked then. This worked with this team." I don't care. Be a difference maker, and let's groom soccer players so that we can get better in this country. If we're gonna make it to the next level. Okay? So, peace. Have a good day.